The road to the 2026 Betfred Epsom Derby has already delivered drama, dominant trial performances, and massive shifts in the betting markets as the world's most prestigious flat race moves closer to June 6, 2026. With the powerful Ballydoyle operation led by Benvenuto Cellini and Constitution River controlling the top of the market, the British Challenge now rests almost entirely on two rising stars, Epsom and Maltese Cross. Epsom exploded into Derby contention with a stunning Dante Stakes masterclass at York, while Maltese Cross earned his place the hard way through a brutal stamina test at Lingfield. But Epsom is unlike any racecourse in the world, where tactical speed, stamina, balance, and mental toughness are pushed to the absolute limit. So when the 247th running of the Derby reaches its breaking point on the famous Surrey Downs, which of these two colts has what it truly takes to stop the Ballydoyle machine and achieve racing immortality? The road to the Epsom Derby is never decided by talent alone. The brutal mile-and-a-half journey across the undulating terrain of Epsom Downs demands an almost perfect genetic formula. A Derby contender must possess enough tactical speed to secure position early without wasting energy, but also carry deep ancestral stamina capable of surviving the exhausting uphill climb and the punishing final 2 furlongs. In the case of Epsom and Maltese Cross, the contrast could not be more fascinating. These are two completely different blueprints for creating a Derby winner, and each colt represents a unique philosophy of elite thoroughbred breeding. Epsom arrives as the modern Juddmonte masterpiece, a colt built from the convergence of generational brilliance, tactical speed, and carefully hidden stamina influences buried deeper within his pedigree. He is a son of the undefeated champion Frankel, who stands at Banstead Manor Stud for a massive fee of £350,000. Over the last decade, Frankel has reshaped the entire European bloodstock landscape, recently siring his 40th individual Group 1 winner. His offspring are known for their enormous ground-devouring strides, relentless cruising speed, and the devastating ability to break rivals mentally before the finish line even arrives. But what makes Frankel so dangerous as a Derby sire is his rare capacity to inject middle-distance stamina without sacrificing the explosive acceleration that defined his own racing career. This moment changed everything for modern breeding, because Frankel himself carries perhaps the ultimate Epsom foundation. He is a son of the legendary Galileo out of the Danehill mare kind, a bloodline combination overflowing with Derby-winning genetics. Galileo remains arguably the greatest Derby sire in racing history, and that influence flows directly through Epsom. But the real intrigue begins on the maternal side of Epsom's pedigree. While Frankel provides the class, stride mechanics, and stamina platform, Epsom's dam line introduces the tactical sharpness necessary for surviving a chaotic 20-runner Derby field. His dam, Capla Temptress, was a high-class juvenile herself, winning the Grade 1 Natalma Stakes in Canada, while also earning group and graded placings in both the United States and England. As a daughter of Lope de Vega, who is by Chamardal, she injects significant speed, precocity, and early maturity into Epsom's profile. Lope de Vega is globally respected for producing elite milers and 10-furlong horses with explosive acceleration, and that influence gives Epsom the tactical speed needed to hold position during the furious downhill scramble in the opening stages of the Derby. Yet beneath all that speed lies the hidden stamina foundation that could ultimately define his Derby fate. Epsom's second dam is Mrs. Beaton by Dan Silly, a stallion famous for improving middle-distance performers, while his third dam is Eliza Acton by Shirley Heights. That name carries enormous significance in European breeding. Shirley Heights won both the Epsom Derby and the Irish Derby himself, and became one of the most revered stamina influences in racing history. This deeper ancestral stamina anchor suggests that despite Capla Temptress being more mile-oriented, Epsom still possesses the genetic tools required to see out the demanding 12 furlongs at Epsom. The balance between Lope de Vega's tactical speed and Shirley Heights' endurance creates an exceptionally modern classic pedigree. But while Item represents balance and versatility, Maltese Cross embodies something entirely different. His pedigree is not delicate or carefully blended. It is an overwhelming declaration of pure middle-distance stamina. Bred by Écurie du Sud and Écurie Gribomont, Maltese Cross was designed specifically for attritional races, punishing gallops, and testing conditions where endurance becomes the deciding factor. He is sired by the legendary See the Stars, one of the greatest racehorses and stallions of the modern era, and a half-brother to Galileo. Standing at the Aga Khan studs, See the Stars famously captured the 2009 Epsom Derby, with a performance that combined tactical agility with elite stamina. Since then, he has established himself as one of the world's premier sources of 12-furlong performers. His offspring consistently display smooth biomechanics, genuine attitudes, and relentless staying power, all traits that Maltese Cross has already shown throughout his trial campaign. The See the Stars influence alone guarantees that Maltese Cross will never fail at Epsom because of stamina limitations. But what truly elevates his pedigree is the maternal side. His dam, Nabatea, is by the 2012 Epsom Derby winner Camelot, adding another direct layer of classic winning stamina into the equation. Camelot, a son of Monjou out of the King Mambo mare Tarfa, became famous for producing horses with bottomless reserves of endurance, especially when races become physically demanding or the ground turns testing. The See the Stars and Camelot combination is virtually a guarantee of 12-furlong excellence. Behind the scenes, another force was already emerging within Maltese Cross's pedigree. Nabatea comes from a deeply stamina-oriented German family, a bloodline highly prized throughout Europe for producing sound, late-maturing middle-distance horses capable of thriving in grueling races. Nabatea herself is a half-sister to the classic-winning sire Newtan and the Grosser Preis von Berlin winner Nymphia, who is by Dylan Thomas. Maltese Cross's second dam, Nile, is by Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe winner Paintress Celebra, while his third dam, Nightini, by Platini, produced the Group 2 Oaks d'Italia heroine, Night of Magic. The further one travels through this German female line, the more relentless the stamina becomes. This family produced elite Group 1 gallopers such as Nightflower, Noctrose, and Next Desert, all horses associated with Deutsches Derby and Preis der Diana excellence. When these two pedigrees are placed side by side, the tactical implications for the 2026 Epsom Derby become impossible to ignore. Item possesses the superior blend of brilliance and tactical speed through Frankel and Lope de Vega, making him theoretically far more dangerous in a race that develops into a sprint finish. His acceleration gives him a weapon very few Derby contenders possess. But Maltese Cross carries an overwhelming stamina advantage that simply cannot be questioned. With See the Stars, Camelot, Paintress Celebra, and a relentless German dam line behind him, there is absolutely no doubt that Maltese Cross will thrive over 12 furlongs. Item, however, still relies heavily on the recessive stamina influence of Shirley Heights, buried deeper in his pedigree, creating a small but important vulnerability regarding the distance itself. Pedigree may reveal what a horse could become, but the journey toward Epsom often reveals what a horse truly is. Derby trials are not simply preparation races. They are brutal examinations of fitness, maturity, temperament, adaptability, and mental toughness. And as the paths of Item and Maltese Cross unfolded, the contrast between them became even more dramatic. Item enters Epsom Downs with a flawless record of 3 victories from 3 starts, carrying the aura of an undefeated Juddmonte colt, whose ceiling may still remain unknown. His juvenile season was deliberately quiet and carefully managed. He began with a maiden victory at Kempton before following up in a novice race at Bath. Those early wins earned approximately £22,000 in prize money, but at the time, they appeared routine and unremarkable. Even his own connections admitted he was not particularly flashy at home and had been slow to come to hand earlier in the season. Juddmonte initially viewed him as a long-term project, rather than an immediate juvenile star. But the real turning point came when Juddmonte racing manager Barry Mahan admitted the team traveled to York in May without fully understanding just how talented the colt might be. Assistant trainer Annalisa Balding later revealed that throughout the winter, the stable had quietly dreamed about his potential based on private pieces of work behind closed doors. Then came the Group 2 Al Basti EquiWorld Dubai Dante Stakes at York on May 14, 2026. Historically, the Dante is regarded as the most reliable and prestigious Epsom Derby Trial in Britain. It consistently attracts elite opposition, and success there immediately commands respect. Racing over 1 mile, 2 furlongs and 56 yards, on good ground, Item faced a dramatic rise in class. Colin Keane settled him near the rear of the 8-runner field with supreme confidence, allowing the colt to relax despite taking a keen hold early in the race, something that often destroys a horse's stamina reserves. What happened next stunned the racing world. Approaching the final 2 furlongs, Item moved effortlessly toward the longtime leader Action, the Aidan O'Brien-trained son of Frankel. Then, without appearing fully extended, he unleashed a devastating turn of foot. He powered clear for a commanding 2 3/4 length victory, leaving Action behind, while the highly regarded 11-4 favorite Christmas Day, another Ballydoyle runner by Camelot, finished another 1 3/4 lengths back in third. But the frightening part of the performance was not merely the winning margin. Colin Keane revealed afterward that once Item hit the front, the colt pricked his ears, looked around, and began idling slightly. That small behavioral detail suggested enormous untapped potential remained hidden beneath the surface. Overnight, his Derby odds collapsed from 33-1 outsiders territory to a major 5-1 contender. In a single afternoon, Item established himself as the leading British-trained Derby hope. Maltese Cross traveled a far different road to Epsom. His progression has been more exposed, more physical, and more workmanlike. Across 4 career starts, he has produced 3 wins and 1 second-place finish, while earning £67,000 in prize money. As a 2-year-old, he debuted at Ascot over 1 mile on soft ground on September 6, 2025, finishing second by only a neck to River Card. 3 weeks later at Newmarket, he broke his maiden with a narrow head victory over Del Morro on good ground. Those narrow winning margins immediately became a defining feature of his career. Maltese Cross does not destroy opponents visually. He defeats them through determination and relentless battling. After a 204-day winter break, his 3-year-old season began on April 17, 2026, in the Darley EBF Novice Stakes at Newbury. Sent off as the 7-4 favorite on good ground, he narrowly defeated My Love is King by a neck. The performance earned him the prestigious TDN Rising Star designation. Yet remarkably, both trainer William Haggas and jockey Tom Marquand admitted publicly that they were somewhat disappointed. They believed the colt possessed elite-level ability, but the performance lacked the explosive brilliance expected from a premier Derby contender. Seeking answers about his stamina and suitability for Epsom, Connections then sent Maltese Cross to the listed William Hill Lingfield Derby Trial on May 9, 2026. Run over an extended 11 furlongs on good to firm ground, the race became exactly the type of grueling physical battle his pedigree demanded. Carrying 128 pounds, Maltese Cross engaged in a fierce straight-long duel with the Ralph Beckett-trained Bay of Brilliance. In the end, he prevailed by only a neck, once again, but the performance carried enormous substance because the leading pair finished 6.5 lengths clear of the third-place finisher Balzac. That moment revealed the true identity of Maltese Cross. He thrives in war, he thrives in exhaustion, he thrives when races become battles of survival rather than acceleration contests. Unlike Item's explosive Dante performance, Maltese Cross wins by grinding opponents into submission, and over the final lung-burning furlong at Epsom, that quality could become extremely dangerous. Visual impressions can create excitement, but elite racing operations rely on numbers to uncover the truth. Speed figures, Timeform ratings, racing post ratings, and top speed measurements translate physical performance into measurable historical context. And when those figures are examined closely, the contrast between Item and Maltese Cross becomes even sharper. Following his dominant Dante Stakes victory, Item received a Timeform rating of 117, with the highly significant P suffix attached. That letter indicates Timeform analysts believe the horse is still improving. Senior analyst Rory King noted that even a conservative interpretation of the Dante form places Item directly among the leading Derby contenders. At that stage, only the Ballydoyle favorite Benvenuto Cellini held a marginally superior Timeform figure of 118 with improvement expected. Maltese Cross received a Timeform rating of 116 with improvement expected following his Lingfield Derby Trial victory. Numerically, he sits only 1 pound behind Item, suggesting their overall ability levels are extremely close. But the way those ratings were achieved reveals a far more important story. Item produced a massive racing post rating of 117 plus, but more significantly, he generated an extraordinary top speed figure of 107. Breaking the 100 barrier in a 10-furlong Derby trial is an elite accomplishment. It indicates the race was run at a genuinely strong pace and proves that Item possesses exceptional quantifiable speed. That number mathematically validates the devastating acceleration he displayed when surging past action at York. But the numbers surrounding Maltese Cross expose a completely different profile. His best racing post rating stands at 110, achieved at Lingfield, proving he consistently beats quality opposition. However, his highest lifetime top speed figure is only 93. That 14-point difference between his racing post figure and top speed figure is enormously revealing. It suggests his races have developed at slower tactical tempos and confirms one critical reality: Maltese Cross lacks explosive acceleration. This changes everything strategically. If the Derby develops into a sprint from the 2-furlong pole to the finish line, Item possesses a massive mathematical advantage. A 14-point top speed gap equates to several lengths in pure acceleration terms. Maltese Cross cannot allow the race to become tactical. He must transform it into a brutal test of stamina and endurance. Epsom Downs is unlike any race course in the world. The steep uphill climb early in the race drains energy reserves. Tottenham Corner forces horses into a rapid downhill turn that destroys balance and rhythm. Then, the cambered straight tilts sharply toward the inside rail, exposing every biomechanical weakness a horse possesses. This course does not forgive flaws. Physically, Item is described by Timeform analysts as a Graham type with immense scope and matching strength. Despite his large frame, Colin Keane notes that he remains remarkably relaxed in temperament, a critical advantage in the chaotic Derby preliminaries, where many contenders lose mentally before the gates even open. His calm demeanor should help him cope with the roaring crowds, mounting yard pressure, and intense atmosphere surrounding Epsom. Biomechanically, Item is considered an exceptionally well-balanced horse. That quality becomes crucial around Tottenham Corner, where poorly balanced horses struggle to change leads and lose momentum on the descent. Item's natural balance should allow him to travel smoothly downhill before launching his challenge, entering the straight. But there is still danger hidden within his running style. During the Dante Stakes, Item took a keen hold early, fighting against Colin Keane instead of fully relaxing. That may seem minor, but physiologically it represents wasted energy and depleted glycogen reserves. Over 10 furlongs at York, his raw talent overcame the issue. Over 12 furlongs at Epsom, it could become catastrophic. Timeform analysts emphasized that if Item is to fully stay the Derby trip, he must settle much better during the early stages. If Colin Keane can anchor him toward the rear, secure cover, and help him relax into rhythm, his turn of foot could become lethal. Ironically, Item may actually require a strong early pace from the leaders in order to settle properly. Maltese Cross enters Epsom with a completely different athletic identity. He is widely praised as a smooth-moving horse with an outstanding temperament, qualities that almost guarantee he will handle the pressure and atmosphere of Derby Day. His greatest weapon is his relentless stamina. Tom Marquand explained that the colt has already been forced into several hard battles and simply does not have a bottom, meaning his reserves of endurance appear endless. When other horses begin weakening at the 2-furlong marker, Maltese Cross is likely to keep finding more. That could become devastating late in the race. However, his adaptability still comes with limitations. William Haggas openly admitted that Epsom requires both speed and balance. A horse must possess enough pace to secure position while also handling the violent undulations of the track. Lingfield is traditionally used as a Derby trial because its downhill turns closely resemble Epsom, and Maltese Cross handled those conditions beautifully. That performance strongly supports his ability to cope with the course itself, yet the lingering issue remains his lack of acceleration. His top speed figure of 93 becomes a major liability in any slowly run Derby. If the race becomes tactical and develops into a sprint finish, horses like Item and Benvenuto Cellini will likely outsprint him decisively. Because of this, Tom Marquand will almost certainly need to ride aggressively near the front, gradually increasing pressure throughout the race. Maltese Cross must turn the Derby into an exhausting war of attrition long before the straight arrives. In races as demanding as the Epsom Derby, the human element can become the difference between victory and heartbreak. Both Item and Maltese Cross are guided by elite operations, but their trainers and jockeys bring very different strengths into this classic battle. Item is trained by Andrew Balding at the historic Kingsclear stables. Balding has already achieved classic success in the Oaks, including victory with Casual Look, while also campaigning major 2026 contenders such as Legacy Link. Yet despite his accomplishments, the Derby itself has remained painfully elusive. He has come close before with outsiders like Khalifa Sat and Hu Yamal placing in the race, but he has never possessed a genuine top-tier Derby favorite quite like Item. This time feels different. The preparation appears meticulous because Balding understands he is no longer training merely for a respectable placing. He is training to win. Alongside him stands Colin Keane, one of the calmest and most tactically precise jockeys in the sport. His analysis following the Dante Stakes was notably controlled and analytical. He acknowledged that Item was fresh early, but praised the colt for eventually settling into rhythm. At Epsom, Keane's patience and timing may ultimately decide the Derby itself. He must conserve Item's energy, navigate the chaos of the field, and unleash the colt's acceleration at exactly the right moment. Maltese Cross, meanwhile, is prepared by William Haggas, a trainer who already knows what Derby victories feels like after winning the race with Shamit in 1996. Haggas is renowned for his honesty, pragmatism, and careful placement of horses. He rarely exaggerates ability levels, making his public comments about Maltese Cross particularly revealing. By openly acknowledging the colt's speed limitations while emphasizing his stamina strengths, Haggas has shown a completely realistic understanding of the challenge ahead. His decision to send Maltese Cross to Lingfield rather than York now appears highly significant. Lingfield provided the exact Epsom-style undulations and downhill turns necessary to prepare the colt for Derby conditions. Haggas deliberately battle-tested him for the unique demands of Epsom Downs. Adding further confidence is the exceptional form of the Haggas stable during May 2026. The yard has been described as taking off, delivering major victories with horses such as El Manjed in the Group 2 Minster Stakes, Lilt in the listed Michael Seeley Memorial Filly Stakes, and Sabre Strike in the listed King Charles II Stakes. Everything within the operation appears to be peaking at exactly the right moment. Tom Marquand also seems perfectly suited to Maltese Cross. Known for his physical strength and driving finishes, Marquand excels aboard relentless stayers who require constant encouragement deep into races. He understands Maltese Cross intimately, recognizing that the extra distance and fast ground at Lingfield brought improvement from the colt. More importantly, Marquand believes the horse still has untapped reserves because he only does enough to win once engaged in battle. But tactically, Marquand faces enormous pressure at Epsom. He cannot afford to become trapped behind rivals or allow the race to develop slowly. If Maltese Cross is going to win the 2026 Epsom Derby, he must turn the contest into a brutal stamina examination from a long way out. As the 2026 Epsom Derby approaches, the looming shadow of the Ballydoyle Empire still hangs over the entire field, led by the favorite, Benvenuto Cellini, and a powerful Aidan O'Brien battalion expected to force a strong, relentless pace from the very beginning. That scenario could completely reshape the race, because a true gallop would perfectly suit both British challengers in very different ways. It would allow Item to settle early before unleashing his devastating Frankel-powered acceleration, while also turning the final furlongs into the brutal stamina war that Maltese Cross desperately wants. But if the Derby becomes tactical and develops into a sprint from Tattenham Corner, Item's elite speed figures, explosive turn of foot, and biomechanical superiority may simply prove too powerful for anyone in the field to stop. In the end, Maltese Cross looks like the ultimate warrior built for survival, but Item still stands out as the colt with the complete package to challenge Ballydoyle dominance and potentially deliver another historic Juddmonte triumph at Epsom Downs. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more in-depth racing analysis, Derby coverage, and elite contender breakdowns.